Okay, now we are going to add a text, some notes on isometric planes. To do that, first thing we need to do is create a new text style. This is the most efficient way to do that is to go to Format and go to Text Style. Under text style, as you see, we have annotate and we have standard. What we're going to do, we're going to create a new, we call it, for this exercise purpose, we call it ISO text 1, just to some notes for us to know which style we are using according to that assignment sheet that you have would tell you which style to use on what plane. By practice, you would know later on how to apply those obliquing angles. So here we have normally obliquing angle, which is set to be 0. In isometric, this angle 0 would not properly align text on that plane. To change that, we will use, for ISO text 1, we use click OK to accept this name, and under this ISO text 1 we change that 0 to 30 and apply. While we are in this menu, we create another one, click new, and then call this one ISO text 2 and OK. Now under this ISO text 2, as you see that it shows still 30, we change that to 330 or -30. Apply. So what we did so far, we created 2 different styles in addition to standard and annotation. So while ISO text 1 is the current one, we can set the current right now, and we can switch always between these styles while we are typing some information as well. And close. Now, since I have ISO text 1 on my current style, I just zoom in this area because I do have something goes in ISO text 1 here. I will go type that using the text, just a single text. You can type, you can select from this tool here. Make sure that you select this single text, single line text. And then it's going to ask you where do you want to begin that. Just pick approximate location here. And right now I'm on the top plane, but that shouldn't cause that much problem. We can always press F5. This is the quickest way to switch, and we didn't even, that would work. And then, as you notice, I'm an isometric, isoplane right plane. And now it's asking for text height. We will keep this height to be 0.125 by pressing enter. Accept that, and it's asking rotation angle. You notice on that handout sheet, the text that I'm typing here, it has rotation angle of 30. So ISO text 1 is the style which set obliquing angle, and rotation angle is 30. So you notice that there are 2 angles involved, not only rotation angle but also obliquing angle. Now type this one, make sure your cap lock is on. Just type this information as you see here, ISO text -1, and press enter. And don't be concerned about this margin alignment at this point. Rotation angle 30. And degree symbol, since you are in the text, is the quickest way. Just remember this code, $D. That places that reference. Of course, you can go to right click and then ask for that symbol as well. Okay, now I'm going to press enter twice to end this. Notice that my orientation is correct. And only thing is that location is not. So this one you have to manually just move, just bring him into, make sure ortho is off, so you're free to move. Your snap maybe is off, so you can just best you can adjust those to be equally spaced and right margin. So this is done manually because we are in the isometric, because again, remember, you're dealing with the 2D. In 3D modeling, you don't have this issue because we are in the 2D. We are trying to present as 3D object. So that's what happens. Now, I did this. Now notice that if any of these texts that you're typing, information is given you on the handout sheet. You just repeat those. But now if I want to switch back to, let's say, isotext 2, where obliquing angle is -30, I can do that by, while I'm in the text. Just go to text, just type the text, press enter. And notice one of the options here is the change in the style. You don't have to go to format to change it, just change it here. Right now, shows isotext 1 as a default settings. I call it isotext-2, but have to be spelled exactly the same thing you called it. If you forget the name, this question mark will list all these styles available. So then press enter, and now it's asking me where do you want to begin. Since I'm going to be typing here for the isotext 2, I just begin from here somewhere. And again, it's not important if you are not in the right plane. It still should work, but if you want to see that you are on the left, press F5, left isoplane right now. And right now it's asking what is the height? 0.125. And this time it's asking rotation angle to be, what is the question? Is the rotation angle. At default is 30 and supposed to be -30. You can type -30 or 330. And now it's asking for you to type the information. When you see this text, now is in the text mode. You may want to start typing. Again, make sure your cap lock is on. isotext-2 and rotation. Just type this information here. Rotation, press enter, angle, 330, and double %, D. Press enter again to finish the text. And again, the same thing, zoom in that area, and then come back and adjust. But just the grip option is the quick way to adjust. The best you can do spacing and margin, make sure it's lined up. So that's how we can add all this text information. So you can repeat this again. On the top here we have isotext 1, rotation angle, so adjust those as we go on. So at this point I'm going to show you how to create those holes on each plane. So for isometric, we have learned this in basic drafting when we're using the T-square and templates and other manual drafting method, that holes in isometrics are not drawn by using this circle. It has to be ellipse. And there's a special kind of ellipse for drawing in isometric, which is called iso ellipse. AutoCAD provides that option easily by going to the draw and selecting ellipse. Under ellipse, you have 3 choices, as you learned in the previous class: center, axis end, and arc. We're going to select axis end, and then pick a point. Let's say I want to begin on this, which I'm right now in the right plane here. Start something. Don't be concerned about location at this point. We can, of course, define that exactly. But then for the purpose of this assignment, just pick a point, approximate center point here, and then it's asking for axis endpoint. So here is the issue. One of the options that we need to be selecting here is the iso ellipse, not just regular ellipse, because this option would not work properly. So I'm going to press escape to exit this and repeat again. So I'm going to go to ellipse, axis end. One thing I did not do here is that ISO circle is not selected. We have to switch from this option that says specify endpoint of the ellipse, and I pick the point. Rather than doing that, go to ISO circle. When you go to ISO circle, it's going to ask you specify center of the ISO circle. At this point, you pick the center. That's very common mistake. It's easy to forget. So make sure that you switch to ISO circle first, then select the location. Now, as you see, this is similar to the isometric template. Those of you who have worked with isometric template, in case you know how the easy way to draw holes in isometric plane. Now it's asking for what is the radius of the circle. In this case, I'm going to type 0.5 for radius, or diameter of 1. One thing I did not switch was my layer back to the object layer, which you can do that right now if you choose to change it here to, rather than dimension layer, change it to object layer. We can start switching our current layer to be an object layer. So I'm going to repeat this one more time. This time I'm going to go to draw, again select the ellipse, axis end, and select the ISO circle, and pick a point, approximate point to the center of the hole. And now, as you see, that's still parallel to this front. I want to switch that. So is the quick way to do that, press F5, function key on your keyboard. And now I'm on the top. Press one more time, just toggles between those. And now I'm on the right plane. As you see, much easier method to do this isometric circles. So same radius, 0.5. We repeat this one more time. Going to draw and select the ellipse. Of course, you can select from the menu, from the tools, and other way of selecting the ellipse. And now ISO circle, this is step. And you have to be in isometric grid to see this option of ISO circle. Otherwise, you would not see that. Since we're in the isometric grid right now, we can accomplish that. Now we press an F5 on the top plane and 0.5. That's how we can add holes on isometric plane, and also how to add just regular text to each side of the isometric drawing.